Hey guys, Warlock here. With the first week of PTR coming to an end, I would like to take some time to go over the changes that both Destro and Affliction have seen on the PTR, as well as what this could mean to the meta and the position of both specs in Rating and Mythic Plus moving forward into 9.1, where these changes to stay as they are. Please remember that these changes, again, are very early into the PTR, and we may see buffs or even more nerfs to any of these classes as tuning is nailed down by the development team. So first, I think we should just go over the changes that Warlocks have seen real quick. And first, for Destruction, we saw a damage increase to Chaos Bolt. So the spell power has been increased from 146% to the 160%. I believe this is about 10 or 20% damage increase to Chaos Bolt. When it comes to Affliction, it's a bit more complicated. It seems that Blizzard are trying to move the damage or the damage profile from Affliction from a Malefic Rapture type damage to Agony. So as a result, what we are seeing is Agony damage has been increased, as you can see here, whereas Malefic Rapture damage has been decreased, as well as the Focus Malignancy Conduit has been also nerfed by about 50%. So the nerfs on Malefic Rapture are actually quite significant this time around. And if they are to stay as they are, we could actually see a change in the meta for Warlocks and see a lot more play for Demo and Destruction in both Raids and Mythic Plus. So first, let's talk about the simulations and how we got to the simulations. If you were to want to do the simulations yourself on your own profiles, these are the strengths you're going to need to modify the spell. So this is Chaos Bolt, Rapture, and Agony. So you would copy everything after here, override.spell data, and you would paste that at the end of your input in the advanced simulator. So you'd have to do an advanced simulation, and at the end of it, you just put that override.spell effect data. Now, when it comes to Affliction, I am not sure how to change the spell data of conduits. However, I was able to find a quick go around for that, since we know it's about 50% that's been nerfed. And we also know that the best conduit that we can get from 9.1 based on item levels alone would be somewhere around this ranks over here, but somewhere between rank 8 and rank 10. So we could assume that about the best, at the very, very, very best, we'd see about 15% increased damage from Focus Malignancy, which conveniently enough is also the rank 1 on Life. So we can use the Life conduits and simply change its rank to 1. So in the case, so where you find that is under Soulbind, Nia, for example. I'm using Nia for mine. If you have a different Soulbind, then this would be, say, something different like Amir or whoever you're using. And then that conduit number or the conduit code in SimC or in RaidBot's input for Focus Malignancy is going to be 202. So you would want to change this to 1. And once you change this to 1, it changes the rank to the conduit to 1. So that's how the simulations were approached, and those are the assumptions that I'm making when bringing these numbers forward. Please remember that these are based on my numbers and my gear and the gear sets that I thought would be appropriate to sim with. If you would like to try something new or something different, you could do that with your own gear following those steps right there. Now, with that out of the way, let's just go to the results. I will make this spreadsheet available for everyone to look at. I have linked the simulations into the different names so that you can go back and reference and see what exactly was done. But this is just the base APLs that are in RaidBots. I did not use any custom APLs. You could use custom APLs and maybe get slightly different results, right? If you want to do the 1 minute hold for Phantom Singularity Soul Rot or something else like that, that would be something you can do as well on the advanced simulator. And if there's enough requests to do a video about how to do that simulation, I could actually put something together, but for now we'll focus on what we have right now. So for Affliction, on one target fights, the nerfs are just that, they're a nerf. As we can see, Malefic Rapture damage is just nerfed by about 500 DPS from between Life and PTR, and Agony damage is it's buffed by about What is that? About 100 DPS. So lose 4, gain 1. Leaves us with about what, 300 DPS ish or so, maybe a little more. So yeah, straight up a nerf. Agony damage was not buffed enough. Dot damage is not enough to make up for what we're losing in Malefic Rapture. However, I do want to point out, as we're talking about this, that currently affliction, it is a very oppressive class. So if we go to Warcraft logs here, we can see, right, and when it comes to the Warlock specs, affliction is very oppressive. It is the best Warlock spec by a mile. It excels in single target, excels in multi-target, excels in 2-target. It doesn't matter what, because of how Malefic Rapture has been designed, it doesn't really actually matter what type of fight it is. Affliction just performs better than the other 2 specs. So right now, if you're looking at this number and you really like Affliction, you're probably very disappointed. However, if you're a Demo player or a Destro player, you might see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel where the specs might be better balanced in between them. And we can see this here, right? Affliction being nerfed to 5900 and Destro being buffed slightly. Right, if you're using the Cinder's Legendary, so this is the Cinder's Legendary. It's considered probably the best legendary for pure single target. We see that they're competitive. For single target, you could pick Affliction or Destruction, and it really will come down to the player, and it be a matter of personal choice what you have gear for, what legendaries you have, what sockets you have, etc., etc. It'll come down to you. So you won't be pigeonholed into playing Affliction just because it is better or best in every single situation. So that's a good thing. Looking at some of the other legendaries that Destro has, while we're in the topic of Destro, both Odor and Madness, I've also simmed those to see how the Chaos Bolt buffs affected them. And on single target, it does seem that Cinders continues to be the best choice. Odor is coming up ahead, and I think there is something to be said by the damage asteroid that you can get from using Havoc. However, yeah, it's not enough to beat Cinders, and having that Roaring Blaze Cinders build where you can keep almost 100% uptime on the Roaring Blaze buff. When it comes to 2-target fights, Affliction, again, seeing some nerfs. Everything's going to be a nerf for Affliction. I think that's a spoilers alert there, guys. Affliction just got nerfed overall everywhere. But yeah, we see similar numbers, right? Agony coming up, actually significantly more. And 2 targets, expected more dots, more damage to different targets, but it does perform more. So this is actually maybe a positive of the changes in the PTR, is that Destro, this is Destro's niche. This is where Destro should be the best spec of Warlock, right? If you have a fight in 9.1, that is a raid fight that is going to be 2 targets that are consistently up, a council type boss where you always have 2 targets to cleave and it is important to do damage to them. This is where Destro should be played, and as it is on live, Affliction is the best spec, right? Affliction would outperform Destro in this scenario. However, on the PTR, that is no longer the case, with Cinders still coming up ahead. Surprisingly, and to my disappointment, Odor, the Havoc Legendary, does not perform as well as Madness or Cinders. So that is a bit disappointing. However, if we look closer at what the numbers tell us, we can see that Chaos Bolt damage for Cinders is lower than on Madness. So, right, a lot of the damage that is coming in here in this 2-target fight is if you have 2 targets up all the time and you're got that Roaring Blaze running, and right, the Immolate damage coming up consistently, Incinerate damage coming up consistently, Conflag damage coming in consistently. It's like all of this damage with the Roaring Blaze buff all the time. However, if you are looking for a fight where you have priority ads that are spawning, and those ads maybe won't live that long, this is something that will be very, very valuable. And with Chaos Bolt buffs, it is becoming more powerful, where we have higher Chaos Bolt damage by about 200 damage, right? However, those Chaos Bolts are hitting harder, and in those short windows where we need those Chaos Bolts to hit hard, to kill priority adds, Destro is going to be very powerful, and it's going to excel in those situations. So my recommendation for Destro right now is, Madness, Cinders, that they are looking both really, really strong, and depending on what the situation is, right? If you have two bosses that are up all the time, obviously Cinders is outperforming here. But in a situation where you have priority adds, specifically Madness, it's coming out to be really strong. And nothing to be said about other. It's just the numbers are not there. It is a cool legendary. I think the concept's cool, but it's just not performing like it should. Which is disappointing. But it hopefully this will be addressed in a patch later down the road. But we will see. Now, when it comes to AOE, again, another nerf for Affliction. However, this is a 5-target simulation, right? Straight up a nerf for Affliction. However, we have to remember that where Affliction will outperform most classes, especially with the nerfs to Balance Druid, is going to be on Spread Cleave AOE, right? If we think maybe something like Blood Council, but with adds that are more that are up longer, right? Adds that where our dots will have, right? This Agony will have a lot of time to ramp up. Our Corruption will be able to just take on it. Our Malefic Raptures will do damage to that, right? But in the situation where we'll be able to rot those targets away, Affliction on that Spread Cleave AoE type scenario, that is where it will be very, very powerful, and it's still going to be the dominant spec for that specific scenario. Now, what does this mean for the Warlock's class as a whole? I think that I really like Affliction. I'm a fan of Affliction. So in my eyes, I'm disappointed that I won't be able to play Affliction for every single fight. However, I do understand that right now the class itself is not in a great state. It is in a state where you only play Affliction, and if you play anything else, then people will just tell you you're trolling. And even though, right, and that sucks, right? It shouldn't be like that. Different specs should have different niches, and they should perform better than the other specs in very specific situations. So, because Affliction is just oppressive, this is toxic to the spec, to the class design as a whole, and to the other specs. I do feel that these changes are going to be good overall. I think that Affliction won't be terrible. It won't be dead. You can still play Affliction on one target. I think that the way it's shaping up to be for 9.1, Demonology will be our one target spec. Destruction will be probably our 2-target spec, or right priority damage spec, and then Affliction will be our Spread Cleave damage spec. So depending on what the fights are, if you are the kind of guy that likes playing all 3 specs, you'll actually be in a really, really good position coming into the raid, where you have very powerful tools to deal with very specific scenarios. And as long as you're playing all the classes or all the specs inside that class, it won't really matter. This changes just change how the class is going to interact within itself, right? Which specs do you want to bring into raid? But overall, Warlocks are going to still be very valuable going into 9.1. And I wouldn't be concerned about any of these changes actually making Warlocks not viable, end quotes. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video or you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit it up in the comments. If you'd like to support me, you could just follow me on Twitch. I stream Friday, Saturday, Sundays from about 9 EST till about 2 a.m. And I usually do a lot of raiding. We do some Mythic Plus content, some alt leveling. I've been working on a series trying to teach you guys how to play the different classes in World of Warcraft in less than 2 minutes. So trying to take a different approach into class guides. Instead of giving you a 20-minute, 30-minute guide, I want to, what do you need to play, right? You want to learn how to You want to just jump into a dungeon with your hunter, there you go. I just give you cut, dry and dirty, some talents, quick rotation, and what you need to know. Right, you're not going to be hitting world first with it, but it definitely is enough to get you going in less than 2 minutes and having some fun. So check that out if you get a chance. And again, thanks for watching, and see you guys. See you later.